Well, listen, if you don't have anything to say, you blab. You just go on and 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 on.
Voters do not agree with these despicable women on The View. They are wildly out of touch with the vast majority of Americans, and frankly, they should seek immediate help.
When there's nothing meaningful to say, some people just ramble endlessly, filling the air with words that lack substance. The women on The View aren't supported by most voters. They're completely out of touch with the majority of Americans. They might want to consider getting their information from a more reliable source, like IM Media. For years, Whoopi Goldberg reigned over the show, cutting off guests, silencing opposing views, and presenting her own opinions as though they were absolute truths. But in one surprising moment, her firm grip on daytime TV came undone, thanks to Karoline Leavitt.
No one saw it coming.
The episode began just like any other, with smug laughter, eye rolls, and the panel all nodding along in perfect agreement with the show's left-leaning agenda.
Probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
I want to be clear, though, it's not her first job. It was her first press briefing. She worked in the previous Trump administration.
Whoopi, as confident as ever, leaned back, ready to take charge of the conversation. Then, as expected, the topic of wokeness came up, a term that The View practically idolizes, defending it as if it's the very core of their existence. Feeling untouchable, Whoopi took the first shot, her signature smirk appearing. She pointed at Karoline and boldly declared, "Without wokeness, you wouldn't even have this job." Just like that, the atmosphere in the room shifted. The audience tensed, and even Joy Behar, who's made a career out of mocking conservatives, seemed to squirm in her seat.
I'm going to stop this interview if you continue to attack my colleagues. I would like to talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who you work for.
I am stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay,
now,
I'm sorry, guys. We're going to come back out to the panel. Karoline, thank you very much for your time.
What Whoopi says next is exactly what you'd expect. Boring and annoying. After all these years as a host, you'd think she'd come up with something a little more original in her responses. But here we are. Let's see what she has to offer this time.
In a statement afterwards, this young lady claimed her, quote, on-air snub proves that you-know-who will not be treated fairly in the upcoming debate. Now, do you think this is going to make people doubt whether CNN can stay objective, or is this more the same of, everybody's against me, it's all rigged, I tell you. Is everything rigged?
No, it's their MO. That's what they do. Rachel Maddow said last week, she's like, if the election is lost, it was rigged. If there's a debate, then the moderators are probably biased and they're prejudiced.
The atmosphere was thick with tension as everyone braced for what was coming next. And let's just say, Whoopi wasn't ready for the response she was about to get. This wasn't just a simple disagreement or playful back and forth. It was Whoopi Goldberg taking a shot at Karoline Leavitt's entire career, her intelligence, and her work ethic, dismissing everything she had worked for as merely a result of the very ideology she opposed. It was condescending, dismissive, and meant to belittle her completely. Yet, despite the clear insult, the audience clapped on autopilot, some even chuckling. But there was an underlying tension in the room, a sense that they knew Whoopi had crossed a line, though they weren't sure how to acknowledge it. Karoline didn't flinch. She didn't get rattled or scramble for a quick comeback. Instead, she did something far more powerful. She smiled. A slow, knowing smile that said, "You've just made a big mistake." It wasn't cocky, but it was the smile of someone who knew they had the facts, the evidence, and the composure to turn the tables. And with an unsettling calm, she did just that. This was something the audience had never seen before. If you're enjoying this epic showdown, make sure to like and subscribe because we're about to dive even deeper into this unforgettable moment. Karoline started by laying out hard facts, cold, undeniable numbers that couldn't be dismissed with a sarcastic comment or a wave of the hand. She pointed to government spending reports showing exactly how taxpayer dollars were being funneled into absurdly woke programs, things like gender studies in Guatemala, adaptations of Sesame Street designed to export American social activism, and many other eyebrow-raising initiatives. With surgical precision, she connected the dots, revealing how wokeness had shifted from a social movement to a political weapon, one used to silence, control, and punish anyone who dared to challenge it. And by the end,
disgusting speech that any president, certainly in my lifetime, has ever given. He essentially waged war on half of the country by saying that we are all a threat to democracy because we believe in putting America first. It's not radical to want to put your country and your own people first. It's not radical to want to have a strong border, a strong military, and to unleash the might of your own economy, not economies around the world.
Karoline is incredibly articulate, isn't she? It's honestly shocking that the hosts on The View chose to mock her instead of supporting another woman. It really highlights their hidden agenda. Let's see how this unfolds. I'm sure Karoline is about to drop more undeniable truths that'll be hard for them to brush aside.
We have seen cultural Marxism trickling its way through every institution in this country. The public school system, the higher education university system, Hollywood, big tech, the corrupt mainstream media that I fought against in President Trump's White House are indoctrinating my generation of Americans into hating our country, hating one another based on race and gender and all of this.
The woman who had built her career on dominating conversations, shutting down conservative voices, and bulldozing through uncomfortable topics, was suddenly on the defensive. Whoopi shifted uncomfortably in her seat, her usual smirk replaced with a look of uncertainty, her hands fidgeting as if searching for something to grasp. She was used to guests stumbling over their words and struggling to keep up with her quick comebacks, but this time, the tables had turned. No matter how much she might have wanted to fire back and regain control, Karoline wasn't giving her the chance. For the first time in a long while, it was clear to everyone watching. Whoopi Goldberg had backed herself into a corner with no easy way out. She opened her mouth, then closed it, tried again, and still nothing. The words wouldn't come. The audience, usually quick to cheer her on, sat frozen in uncomfortable silence. Even the most loyal View fans didn't know how to react. The energy in the room had shifted, and for once, no one knew whether to laugh, clap, or just wait for Whoopi to say something, anything, to regain control. Even the camera crew hesitated. Should they zoom in on Whoopi's stunned expression, capturing the moment she realized she had trapped herself, or cut to commercial and hope the viewers wouldn't notice? Whoopi, who was always ready with a snide remark or a dismissive gesture, sat stiffly in her chair, clearly wishing she could vanish. She had walked straight into a trap, and now there was no easy escape. And here's the real question Karoline had exposed. If wokeness is truly about diversity and inclusion, why are conservative women the ones being attacked? Why do those who preach tolerance turn hostile when confronted with someone who doesn't share their ideology? In that moment, Whoopi Goldberg realized she had no comeback, no sharp retort, and no witty remark to flip the situation. The silence stretched on, and everyone could feel it. Desperate to recover,